Hey, I want to say hello and welcome to our listeners from around the world. We have a fantastic show for you today. We're broadcasting live from our nation's capital here in Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and again, as I said before, we have a fantastic show for you today. Before we get to that, I want to introduce my wonderful co-host for today, Miss Sheila Applegate. Hey, Sheila.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. You've had a very eventful week, right? You had a friend,
I
dear
have,
friend, who
yes.
was visiting.
Yes,
Tell
we
me
had
about that.
Martin Earhart visiting. Martin was visiting from Argentina.
Hmm.
We met him through our Live Sense8 podcast. He's doing a documentary on how Sense8, the Netflix show, has gathered people
Wow.
from around the world together. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's pretty cool. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
it yeah. So he's been through lots of different he got to us after traveling several different cities in the country. Um, and he's been here before, so we've had time to see him before. He worked on the documentary, and then we also did a lot of nature because he's only been in cities, so he felt wonderful to see waterfalls and a beautiful lake, and it was very nice.
oh, wow. That's cool. Now, that's the way to spend a week, right? With a dear friend
Yeah,
who's doing
yeah,
a important project that really brings people together. I mean, I love Sense8. I love it. I miss
yeah.
it. I miss it though. Bring back Sense8. Bring back
Right.
Sense8. Anyway,
Maybe it
um,
will come back someday.
yeah, exactly. Um, we are really happy because this is our first week of the new show, and a lot of you have been saying you enjoy it, and so of course we're going to keep it going. We got more great guests and great topics that are coming in the future. But today we have another fantastic hot topics Friday for you. We're going to be talking about great news stories from the week, and important stories from the week. Sheila, we were kind of talking about this kind of offline about there's a lot happening in the world right now. I would say even more than usual. Would you agree?
Is that possible? It feels like it
Yeah.
is,
Right.
right? It keeps getting more and
Right.
more. But yeah, I feel like there
You
is a
know.
turn, definitely a turn going on.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's get to our first story, which is from ABC News.
Special Counsel Jack Smith unveiled hugely anticipated federal criminal charges against Donald Trump, accusing the former president of a conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding.
In the 45-page indictment, prosecutors described a sprawling, multi-state conspiracy built upon Trump's repeated false claims that Democrat Joe Biden's victory had been marred by widespread fraud.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
According to the indictment, Trump ignored advisors and attorneys who told him the election was not fraudulent, including then Vice President Mike Pence, White House lawyers, and the Director of National Intelligence. Instead, prosecutors wrote, quote, "The defendant pushed officials in certain states to ignore the popular vote, disenfranchise millions of voters, dismiss legitimate electors."
It really goes to the heart of our democracy and how we count people's votes.
Cheryl Bader, associate law professor at Fordham University School of Law.
The indictment goes through in very painstaking detail how Trump was able to perpetuate this lie and knew indeed that it was a falsehood. And then to show how he systematically worked with other co-conspirators to try to perpetuate this lie.
But Trump's defense will likely argue that his claims were protected political speech.
Trump is going to argue that he believed this to be true, that he believed that he won the election, and therefore that he was not defrauding the United States, that he was not trying to take away anybody's vote.
The Trump campaign issued a statement accusing the Biden administration of targeting him for political gain. This is the third criminal indictment in 4 months for Trump. The 77-year-old is the first former U.S. president to face criminal charges. He currently dominates the contest to once again lead the Republican Party in 2024. But the tangle of criminal trials next year will likely clash with his campaign schedule, and more legal problems likely lie ahead. Strategists said that while the indictments could help Trump solidify support among Republican voters who viewed the charges as bogus, they could prove more damaging among independent voters in the general election against Biden.
And so it was a hot time in the summer in this city yesterday because former President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to all the counts after being charged in connection with his alleged attempts to overturn the result of the 2020 presidential election that happened here in D.C. His legal team is trying to have a change in venue to a more kinder venue. He's basically trying to appeal to the court to have it moved to West Virginia. A lot of legal experts say that probably won't happen because according to the law, you have to have it in the jurisdiction at which the alleged crimes happened, and that's here in Washington, D.C. So, Sheila, what are your thoughts or reactions to this story?
Well, I'm not surprised at this point. I think there was a time earlier in this process where I wasn't sure what the United States would do and how our government would look moving forward. But, I feel that now that we're seeing Trump be charged, indicted, brought to court, we can feel the sense that, okay, the system is working, and it took a long time, and I think when this happened, those who saw the truth in it were frustrated that something didn't happen quicker, but had it happened quicker, would have been like, what would have been the alternative to, someone else jump in, and then we're at risk of the same repetition. But by doing it in this systemic way, we're actually going through the process, and it feels like, in a way, cleaning up the government in the way the trend had been going.
Yeah, and thanks for that. When I think about this, I don't think that this could have happened any other way than how it happened. And I'm quoting Morpheus from from the Matrix things. Why do I say that? Because the standard process on something of this magnitude for the Justice Department is that you start at the bottom and you go up in terms of your investigations. They started the investigation not even a few weeks after it happened, right? In terms of generally and broadly, but I think they either arrested or indicted something like 1,000 people. 700 of them have been sentenced. The major actors, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, all those leadership, they have been sentenced, and I think they're all in jail right now. So this makes sense in terms of how they work. in terms of all the actors. Sheila, we were talking about the fact that, karma is karma, right?
Mhm.
And for 4 years, actually, if you want to include before he was elected, with all the other things that we know that Donald Trump has done based upon factual information that's been released, that he was building up a huge karmatic outcome for him.
Mhm.
And so I look at this as like, yeah, I mean, this is all the money that's being spent, all the things that he's going through, and that kind of thing makes sense to me. What about you?
Yeah. I think for Trump as an individual, this has been far beyond the presidency. It's been a way of
Oh
life
yeah,
for him. We don't know what else is behind this and what other connections he's had throughout those years. So, yeah, there's something about Trump that, well, first of all, obviously he is still innocent until proven guilty. Like, we've seen enough facts
absolutely.
that we can make our own choices, but it
Yes,
will be the
yes,
court that has to prove that. But he's almost cartoonish in the things that he does, right? Like the extent of it's so bewildering to, it's almost making a mockery of the government and all of the behind the scenes stuff that,
yeah,
the the darker side. And so it does. It's one of those times where it's bringing it to the surface for us to look at. And
yeah.
I think that there
Thanks.
will be a ripple effect from this. It's not just about him. He represents something that has been an undertow that reached a climate. Like we said, everything around the world, like we're seeing this transformation and all the buried things are coming to the surface. So thank you for
Absolutely.
that. I have to thank him for that.
Yeah, I mean, truly. I mean, we've got a minute before we go to break here, but I'm thinking about how many underserved communities and communities of color that have been talking about the racism that exists in our country, and that all this and all the years that he's been there, it's all bubbled up. And so without Trump being president and without all these other things and the other like capitalistic things that are happening, like, the records that he stole and how that's being used for, all this is all interconnected. And I think it's all here to help us all grow as a nation, as one soul body. So listen, thank you for that, Sheila.
Thank you.
Listen, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we have even more great hot topic Friday news for you. One coming from MSNBC and out of Israel. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes. Hi there, this is Brian with SOULIVITY.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by SOULIVITY. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by SOULIVITY is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by SOULIVITY today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And welcome back to SOULIVITY Today. We are talking about great hot topics for you from news from all around the world. I've got my great, amazing co-host with me, Sheila Applegate. Hey, Sheila, how you doing?
Doing good.
I know you're still a little weary from the
I'm
week's work
waking
with
up.
your friends. I know, like shake it off. Anyway, as I said before, we've got some great hot topics for you today from around the world. And this next one comes from Israel. There's some things happening there that you probably need to know about. So check this out.
Overseas, protests continue in Israel following last week's passage of a controversial measure that weakens the ability of the nation's Supreme Court to overturn government actions. And now, 1 week after the law passed through Parliament, NBC News sat down with the man at the center of it all, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In a wide-ranging interview, our foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez asked the Prime Minister about the protests rocking his country and much more. And Raf joins us now live from Tel Aviv, Israel. Raf, it's good to see you. Tell us more about your interview with the Prime Minister.
Well, Willie, the Prime Minister gave absolutely no indication of backing down. He said it was worth it to get this legislation through, despite the deep divisions it's caused in Israeli society. A poll last week found 56% of Israelis fear there is a real danger of civil war. And the divisions it's caused in the Israeli military, where thousands of reservists have said they will not show up for duty in protest at this legislation. Netanyahu told us there's not going to be a civil war. He said he believes that when the dust settles, people will accept his argument that this was a necessary reform to take power out of the hands of unelected judges, put it back into the hands of elected politicians. I can tell you that is not an argument the protesters are buying. I also had a chance to ask him about tensions in the U.S.-Israel relationship. You'll remember, Willie, President Biden urged the Prime Minister not to go ahead with this legislation without consensus. The Prime Minister pushed ahead anyway. The President has also been critical of Netanyahu's decision to include far-right politicians in his cabinet. Netanyahu told us the relationship has its ups and downs, but it's mainly its ups. But Willie, one specific part of this interview is leading the news here in Israel today, and that is this question of whether later this year the Israeli Supreme Court might strike down this legislation, effectively ruling to preserve its own power, and whether or not Netanyahu will abide by that ruling if it doesn't go his way. Take a listen. If Israel's Supreme Court strikes down your legislation, will you abide by their ruling?
I think we have to follow two rules. One is Israeli governments abide by the decisions of the Supreme Court, and at the same time, the Supreme Court respects the basic laws, which are the closest thing we have to a constitution. I think we should keep both principles, and I hope we do.
So you are committing, if the Supreme Court strikes down this legislation, you will abide by that ruling?
Remember what I said. I hope that they don't strike down, because I think we should abide by both rules. And it's a peculiar thing. It would be, in American terms, as though the Supreme Court that is charged with keeping the Constitution would nullify a constitutional amendment as unconstitutional. So it sort of turns on itself, and it doesn't make sense. I hope it doesn't happen.
Prime Minister, with respect, to change the American Constitution, it has to be done by consensus. 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, 3/4 of the states. This legislation was not passed by consensus, a simple majority.
But the Supreme Court in Israel itself said that the basic laws that are passed by a supermajority in the Knesset, or not an incidental majority in the Knesset, is the basis of the Constitution. They call it a Constitution. So every country has its own, quote, Constitution, And by the Supreme Court's own definition, this basic law that they're now dealing with is part of our Constitution.
Willie, you heard there, I asked him twice. Neither time did he definitively say yes, he would abide by the Supreme Court's ruling. And to the ears of many Israelis, they feel their prime minister is hinting at the possibility of a constitutional crisis if this ruling doesn't go his way, because the Israeli Supreme Court, like the American Supreme Court, does not have enforcement power, it doesn't have police, it doesn't have an army. It just has this long-standing norm that the government respects its rulings, and if we get to a point where the prime minister doesn't, then Israeli democracy really is in uncharted waters. Willie?
First and foremost, I just want to send some prayers and support to the people of Israel as they go through this time. This is not easy stuff to deal with there. This is when we were putting this show together, Sheila, I was thinking, did I really want to talk about this? And that I kept getting nagged at, there needs to be a light shined on this because this is about democracy, and one of the core values of democracy is always going to be the will of the people, having protections for people's rights and such, and that the judiciary in all democracies plays a very special role. They are appointed by the government, right? Maybe a prime minister or the parliament or whatever, and they live kind of outside of that, the norms of legislation, because they need to be, right? And so, it's and just to let people know too, and they didn't mention this during the interview on MSNBC, and thanks to MSNBC for covering this. But the coalition that passed the law back in March, that would limit removing a prime minister from office in cases of, in cases of medical and mental incapacitation. It would also protect Netanyahu from being deemed unfit for office because of his ongoing corruption trial and claims of conflict of interest. Critics say that the law is tailor-made for Netanyahu and encourages corruption. So that's another piece of this. Any thoughts, Sheila, on this at all?
Well, I think we were talking about a pattern that is happening around the world. And I think within the last decade, we really watched as outdated beliefs of supremacy kind of rose to the surface, not just in our United States, but around the country. And so now I feel as if it is to the surface now where the people are being able to speak up and make this turn. And it still seems a little bit precarious when we look at each individual country. But, the wave of evolution always moves us forward. And the thought patterns of far right is to go backwards to a time of more separation.
Right. And, and just to, I'm glad now you're making me feel better for covering this today. Just want to remind people before we go to break here that this is all in divine order, and it's a reflection of us and our own selves, where a lot of times we're getting messages that we need to move forward, we need to expand and grow, and we fight against it, and then the whisper becomes a tap, becomes a shove, becomes a knockdown. And I think in part, like with the people who are protesting right now in Israel, and they're still going on, by the way. I mean, they're still protesting, and it's not just a small group of people. It's literally millions of people in Israel that they're basically telling people that, listen, we are ready for change. I mean, this all happened right after, I think, they had their first Israel Arabs that were part of parliament. That had never happened before. And so the minorities are starting to have representation. So this is a pushback against change. And so I just wanted to point that out before we went to break here. Any final thoughts from you, Sheila?
No, I think that's really good that you pointed out that it is, we move forward and then the undertow of progression rises up out of fear. It's like when we're moving forward spiritually and our ego rises up and says, let's not go so fast. And then we move through it and we keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, listen, we've got even more great hot topics coming up in a minute. Something that involves pink and pink cars, I think. So we'll be back in just about 30 seconds.
6 years ago, when I started SOULIVITY, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit soulivity.com now.
And we're back with more of SOULIVITY Today. We have our hot topics that are here for you today for our Friday. This next one, I think, is something that you enjoy. Also comes from ABC News.
Barbie mania is taking over from cafes to skincare. There's even a reported global shortage of Barbie's pink paint. ABC's Will Gans has more.
This summer, the whole world is saying,
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. The Barbie movie, a pop culture phenomenon, unleashing a giant pink wave on screen.
So cool.
On social media, where hashtag Barbie movie has racked up 1.7 billion TikTok mentions. And IRL too.
Hard pressed to think of a single film that has created this much buzz and really this much of a craze, where it impacts pop culture and it impacts what people are wearing and what people are posting on social media and what they're talking about.
Barbie in the real world. That's impossible.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Barbie mania rolls on, from skates and skincare to pets and glassware.
You can touch, you can play.
You can touch, you can play, and you can spend before you ever even see the movie.
They actually have more than 100 partnerships and collaborations with various stores. You're really seeing Barbie everywhere, and pink is making a splash across department stores.
And some fans becoming Barbie in brand new immersive experiences. Chrissy Teigen and her family spending the night at the Barbie Malibu Dream House, now listed on Airbnb. And Malibu Barbie cafes popping up in New York and Chicago. But any superfan knows,
okay, ladies, let's do this.
All you need are some friends and a pair of rollerblades for a party worthy of Barbie herself.
Did you bring your rollerblades?
I literally go nowhere without them.
Yes, Barbie mania is everywhere. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
I should have wore pink today, just because of that. But it would have given it away. My wife has seen it. You have seen it. I have other friends that have seen it. They all adore this movie. What say you, my friend?
Well, yes, I definitely enjoyed the movie. My kids were the ones that made me notice it because they were preparing for it, going to the premiere. And they weren't Barbie players, and they loved Greta Gerwig. And And so I knew it was something more than just Barbie, when it came to the news and all over the place. It actually does an amazing job of just kind of reflecting back where our world has been, where our world is, not just with the diversity and the equality of males and females, but also of different genders. Um, different sexualities, different races, and it does it in a way that your heart stays open, and that's
Wow.
important right now.
Right.
Because and
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
gets to the subtleties. It gets to the subtleties. It goes to the layers. So when they're talking about the male and even the white male, like the struggle that a white male is having as this change
Right.
goes, which,
Right.
to get that included in it in a way that's respectful is amazing.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I plan on seeing it at some point. I think, should I tell people I saw it? But there's a part in the movie that I read about where America Ferrero talks about that, it's impossible to be a woman based upon certain stereotypes and that kind of thing. And so I love the fact that that as part of the movie, and it's satire, everybody, but as part of the movie, they have something to hold on to that's important for people to remember about the evolution of Barbie, the changes in how toys are more representative of our world. Because you and I both grew up when there were no black dolls, there were no dolls that of color, Hispanic, Indian. There was none of that, and so children couldn't play with toys that kind of look like them, right? And so
Right.
I love the fact that I love the fact that they brought that up in the movie. What have your other friends have your other friends have seen the movie at all?
Yeah. So I think that, when I talk about my kids and my friends who have seen it, it is something, it's an experience. I really encourage people to see it, but it really hit at everything. And even, it hits at capitalism. Mattel is allowed them to talk about this. And when we watch the commercial you just posted, or the scenes you posted, it is, they're selling a lot. And in the movie, you're like, basically it's like, oh, woke is good for business, right? Like being
Oh yeah.
conscious is good for business. And I think that's
Hello.
important for the world to understand, because that,
Abs-
that can help move us forward.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Woo! So we will officially endorse going out and seeing Barbie. Hey Barbie again. But don't forget Ken. Don't forget Ken too. We love Ken too. Listen, we've got more. We've got more great hot topics coming up in just a second. Have a great story that I think all of you are going to enjoy, especially those of you who love movies. So we'll be right back in about 2 minutes or so. SOULIVITY Today is brought to you by Assume control over your weight and broader health with the 80 Bites program by Physical Mind Institute.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on SOULIVITY TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
6 years ago, when I started SOULIVITY, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit soulivity.com now.
And we're back with more of SOULIVITY Today. And this is our last story for Hot Topics today. Why don't we check it out? This one comes from Rotten Tomatoes.
This is it. The sky's the limit.
We back in business.
We can't stop him.
We gotta try.
You want to roll with us?
Jonas, we need your help.
That's the biggest night I've ever seen.
Biggest meg anyone's ever seen.
Can I kiss you?
Ben.
Sorry, I'm a little out of practice.
It's clear.
I question if you are ready for this job.
Why are you making everything so difficult?
You need to figure out if you feel forever about him. Do you love him?
What difference would it make if I did?
The best Gran Turismo players in the world get a chance to compete in professional racing.
If you miss a line in the game, you reset. You miss it on the track, you could die.
You're compromised. Don't know if you can be trusted. I'm standing you down, Rachel.
He is here. We call him Dracula.
He's coming!
That love you feel for your family makes you weak.
You're wrong. My family, that's what makes me strong.
You are officially astray.
What are those?
Kind of looks like food. Oh, give me a sec.
You look different.
You look different too.
How so? Is it my human hands?
Once upon a time, we were the finest male dancing troupe in town, the Chocolate Chips. It's time for you to get on stage and do it your way.
They're picking on the weak and defenseless.
So we teach a bunch of girls how to defend themselves.
Adrenaline is flowing. Next thing you know, Isabel and Brittany are kissing us on the mouth.
Woo! Cannot wait, cannot wait, cannot wait, cannot wait. Did I say that? Cannot wait. Such
what
great
can't
movies.
you wait for?
So there's a couple of the movies that are out that are coming in August that I cannot wait to see. One is actually, I think, a sleeper. It's called Landscape with the Invisible Hand, directed by Corey Finney. It's an adaptation of a novel of the same title. It sets in the near future where Earth has been taken over by an alien species called the Vuv, right? And then the takeover causes the Earth's economy to collapse due to aliens' modern technology, which eliminates the need for traditional labor. Now, two teenagers who were together, they're in partnership. One of them is, remember the boyfriend of the daughter of the black couple in, gosh, what's the name of that? The three of us, what's the name of that series that we talk about all the time? I can't think of the name of it. But he's in the movie. And basically what they do is they're generating money based upon showing the aliens their relationship. But then they start to hate each other. And they can't break up because they're making money. So the film has a great cast. Tiffany Haddish is in it. William Jackson Harper is also in it. And it's a like sci-fi comedy. So that's one that I'm looking for.
That one seems good.
Exactly.
That seems really important right now in the
Right.
whole like AI storyline coming out. Like, very relevant.
Was there anything that kind of caught your eye? I know that you've been kind of busy with a whole bunch of different things going on, but was there anything that kind of got you?
You know what? It's funny because one of the things I struggle when I watch most like action movies, because when it comes at me in the screen, like a lot of action movies, the fights and everything are like just flashing. I kind of had the same reaction here. It like puts me into a trance. So it was hard to follow all of them, but there were a few in there. But I don't know the names because it was going so fast for me. But I mean, Ninja Turtles. I mean, that just is reminiscent. I was in my early days as a play therapist when Ninja Turtles was big, so that one is fun. And then that one, I'm going to the cartoons because they stood out. The one with the stray dogs. I thought, well, that's an interesting take. And is that for kids or for grown-ups? Because
I
they're taking
think
some
that
mushrooms there.
I think that has I think that's something for everybody. All-star lineup in this movie, by the way. Will Ferrell is in it. Will Forte is in it. Jamie Foxx, Isla Fisher, Randall Park. There's this great supporting cast. Josh Glad, Sofia Vergara, and Rob Ritchie are all in it as well. And I think we kind of heard, what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson is in it as well. I think I heard him in there as well. So great movies are coming out, Yeah, great movies are coming out. Can't wait to do that. We posted the link on our social media so that you can go check out and learn more about all the movies that are coming out in August. Just, a fun way to kind of end our Hot Topic Friday for today. So, again, this is how we do it here on SOULIVITY. And, we hope that we're inspiring you to go out and check out, all these movies, especially during this time where you have actors and stuff on strike and that kind of deal. That these movies do pay those folks, so they can get some money off of this in the meantime while things are happening for them. But anyway, Sheila, great. We wrapped up our first Hot Topic Friday show on SOULIVITY Today. While we take a quick break and we come back, we'll have some final thoughts from both of us about this week. And so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back, okay? SOULIVITY Today is brought to you by Happy Travelers Tours and Old Vine Wine Tours. The Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame, living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. SOULIVITY is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us, a place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we're back with more of SOULIVITY Today. I'm joined today by my very special co-host, Sheila Applegate. Great show today, Sheila. Wow.
Yeah. Good way to start a Friday.
And get the weekend started. Any final thoughts from any of the news stories that you thought about today at all?
I guess I could just look at all of them and put them all together. As we were talking about, what's happening in the United States and Israel, it does feel to me like there's a turning point, that we're finally kind of moving towards that shift after we've dealt with everything coming up to the surface that had been buried for so long. And even Barbie, the movie Barbie has gone through Barbie, the doll, has gone through so much transition as humanity has and as we evolved. And so having that come in and the joy of just entertainment as a way of also raising our consciousness and bringing out the stories that are within us it's beautiful.
I love it. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I can't help but agree. I think that I do feel a shift, an energetic shift in how we're relating to each other. And especially in underserved communities, right? I mean, there's this new light that is being shined on those people. I mean, we're looking at the things that are happening in the South with book bans and now history rewriting, right? The whitewash of history and this kind of thing where people are pushing back against the norms that have been here for a long, long time. And that they're pushing back in a way that is trying to say, listen, we need to move toward a world that's more inclusive, more diverse, more respectful of different cultures and different ancestral experiences. And so I can't help but be positive about everything that's happening right now. So anyway. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Why don't we move to some SOULIVITY shameless plugs here with you. You've got some fantastic things happening in your world. I think first is another fractal illumination. Am I saying that correct?
You are. We have a fractal illumination gathering on August 12th. It's locally here in Marcellus, New York, but you can receive this energy activation, which is designed to help you adjust to the changing energy. So we talked a lot about today about this movement, this change in our world. And so this is a support for us to match our energies to this change. So you can learn about that at SheilaApplegate.com.
Yep. And as always.
And always, if you would like to have a one-on-one session with me so that we can help you to find your way and to connect to your own soul on a deeper level and really connect to the divine essence of who you are, you can do that by using the code SOUL23. You will get $44 off. So come on over and have a session.
Woo-hoo.
And before all this, we have the Matrix of Illumination.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny. Completely forgot to tell people about that. That's going to be on Aspire on the 8th of this month. We'll make sure we get that information out to you. Gosh, thanks for that, Sheila. It's like, oh my gosh, they're so good. They're so good too. Tell people a little bit about those really quickly.
So in the Matrix of Illumination, I lead you through a meditation, and I also bring in messages from the divine that will help us in our daily life. So this month, I'm on a second of a series of bringing in the energy of Gaia, our Mother Earth, and helping us to connect more deeply with her as we move through these changes.
Thank you for that. While we have time left, I just want to remind people to follow us on social media. You can go to our SOULIVITY Today site and learn more about our sponsors, and our, and you can watch our latest show. You can also listen to our past shows as well. So check that out. And because the new SOULIVITY.com is here. Sheila, it's so great to have you with me today. I just love co-hosting. I know, as always. Listen, we've only got a few more minutes left. Just want to thank everybody for being here for our Hot Topic show today. There's more great SOULIVITY Today shows coming up next week. Have some special guests for look out on our social media for announcements from that, as well as the announcements for Matrix of the Illumination with Sheila. We want to make sure that we talk to you about that as well. Listen, on behalf of all of us here at SOULIVITY, thank you for joining us. As I said before, please remind yourself to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, I'm still going to call it Twitter, even though it's got that other name that I can't stand. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, where, when we go live, it'll post to there, and you can check us out. And we're on Threads too. Sheila, did you know we're on Threads? Did you know we're on Threads?
I did know that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is cool, right? Listen, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this edition of SOULIVITY Today. We're here every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern on SOULIVITY TV, or you can catch us at 8 a.m. Pacific time on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. Listen, until next time, as always, we're wishing you a life full of passion, using that passion to serve our community as purpose, which will create a best life for you today, or what we like to call living. So we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved. "6 years ago, when I started SOULIVITY, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today